Hi, and welcome to the In the Wrong Bed podcast. I am your host, Justin Weiler. As always, with me is Jonathan Sokol. And today, in episode 4, we're going to review what happened in the Premier Week last week and looking forward to this week's Premier League, which I don't know about you, Jonathan, but I think last week was probably the best overall week, I think, just top to bottom from just having quality matches.
It was a lot of close matches, a lot of fun, good final. It was a good week.
Yeah, it was a good week, except for me betting on Littler to win it, everything when he had two darts at double 10 and just missed. Just which I'm shocked that he missed him. I don't know about you,
Me
but I
too.
thought I was expecting those to go in.
Yeah, right now there's
You know what I
you're
actually think kind of messed up is after he hit he paused. He paused like when he was to go back for the double 10, and I think it just screwed with his rhythm.
yeah, he's such a flow player that it's kind of surprising to see him pause like that. So,
Yeah, he does that on, and a lot of people do before big dart. Rob Cross notoriously does it, but he does it before every time he has like a checkout about to hit. So
yeah.
he's at least consistent. I think that's what honestly threw him off more than anything. But I thought he would win the whole night. So I was a little disappointed to lose on the last starts to MVG for the second week in a row. But his match with him, Littler, were both just great matches. And honestly, all the matches, sadly, with the exception of any Peter Wright match, because he just cannot get it together at this point.
He
Um,
covered his spread, I think, but
yeah,
but
yeah,
he's definitely
I
going to
think he
lose in the
did.
first round every week
Yeah,
right
but
now.
that's just it. I mean, you're talking, but he's plus 425 to beat MVG, and honestly, it's doesn't even. That's probably what the numbers are correct, but it doesn't feel like it's even that he's even that close to MVG at this point. His game is just so far off.
Yeah. He's just his averages are so much lower than they've been over the past year. Like the past 3 and 6 months, he's in the 80s with his average, which uh, is not usually where he's been historically at
Yeah, it's
all.
just
So
absolutely shocking to see someone. Yeah, it's shocking to see someone of his caliber throwing like in the 80s consistently.
yeah, he's throwing like Guy
Or
Fieri now. He's
yeah,
fun.
exactly. Like it's just it's kind of sad to watch. It's almost just like you watch someone he's got like Steve Blast disease all of a sudden. Like the guy can't just can't hit the trouble bed to save his life. He keeps going up there. And last week he was throwing like or the one just consistently. It wasn't even he wasn't even close to the treble 20 bed. So like
Yeah.
I think he's got a long way to kind of come back. Like I don't know. This could be a real like he finished last year, I think, in the Premier League, and I don't think it's going to be close this year.
And I you gotta wonder how much more will he gets even selected next year if he really struggles this much. He's a fan favorite, but I'm thinking, there's got to be better players that are going to get the chance
I mean,
next
that's why he
year
gets
if he doesn't
but
pick it
like
up. So
exactly, and I mean, you can see Stephen Bunting like at the end of the Masters that he won was alluded to being kind of bitter that he didn't get selected
yeah,
for it. That probably Littler actually got the last spot, and honestly, people want to see Luke Littler, but
yeah,
I understand where he's coming from in that he had a really good year last year, and I think if he keeps up this year, like they're going to be real hard. They did that with Gary Anderson for a long time, like as if being
yeah,
a fan favorite, but eventually it just you've got to put the best people, the best eight, or at least the most eight entertaining players in there, if not the top eight,
yeah.
that people want to see, and um, Peter Wright just going in there just doesn't right now it seems like he's a long way from turning it around.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we'll see how it plays out, but yeah, it would have been honestly, I would have been I would have enjoyed seeing Stephen Bunting in there just because he's been playing at such a high level. He would have been much better match for all these guys than Peter Wright has turned out to be.
Exactly. And it probably actually is a good segue. It's not the first match tonight, it's the second match tonight, just to talk about Peter Wright versus MVG.
Yes.
And he's getting 3.5 legs, even though it's juiced to like minus 140.
Yeah,
Um, that's a lot of legs to give any pro dart player,
I know.
honestly.
And into six legs. It's
I can't believe when you're taking, yeah, this feels like if I'm taking Peter Wright, it almost feels like in the NFL, like you're taking the Carolina Panthers to cover. Like
exactly.
you don't feel good about this, even though you think it's
No.
probably the right bet. And I
Yeah.
think it's probably the right bet, but MVG also like degaff about like keeping people in it. He does not mind, and he tries to know who it is. So if it's tough to see him go worse than like 6'2" feels right, 6'2" or 6'3". I think that's why
Yeah.
3.5 legs is on there. Um, you might
Yeah.
get a little bit better money on over 8.5 legs though.
I, I thought Peter Wright showed a little bit of signs of life last week. And like I was mentioning, I know he did, I think he lost 6-4 if I'm remembering it. He definitely covered his spread. So this one, just because it's such a uh you're getting so many legs on the spread. But we talked about this in previous episodes. The over 8.5 is minus 125, and that feels like if you're going to bet Peter Wright, bet that over 8.5 instead of minus 140 on the plus 3.5. So that's where I'm probably going to go on this one.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. And absolutely, like I don't see him beating MVG 6'2" or
No,
worse. Like
there's no
I
way
don't
that happens.
I don't see that happening or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, yeah, I don't really feel about that. Do you have any other like prop bets on that you liked? Like on the 180s? I think it was on the 180s, it was four and a
Yeah.
half.
It's down to 4.5. And I like Peter Wright hasn't been throwing 180s at all. I think he had zero last week and maybe
Well, he hit
one.
two. He had
Oh,
zero until the last leg, and then he
oh,
had
okay.
two, which ruined my under 1.5
So yeah,
bet. He was so far behind in the last leg. I was like, you got to be kidding me.
I like the over because the MVG has been hitting 180s at a pretty good pace lately, and the 4.5 is a low number for these matches. And I do, you know, I am expecting this to hopefully go to 9 legs, maybe
And that's
10,
just it. If you
and
think it's
we
going to
get an
get to nine
extra.
leg,
Yeah,
I agree. If you think it's going to get to 9 legs or better, then probably the over 4.5 makes a little bit more sense.
yeah,
If you think it's like that, probably take the under. Because yeah, or what I kind of like actually more than the 4.5 is I'm getting MVG over 2.5 minus 125. If you
mm.
think the 4.5 is going to hit, I don't think it's because Peter Wright's going to hit 3. I think it's
No,
because MVG is going to hit at least 3, and then
yeah,
Peter Wright might hit 2.
yeah,
So I kind of like, even though it's a little bit worse juice, it's flat on the 4.5. I kind of like the over
I like that too.
two. I think I'll be two.
I'm actually clicking on that
Yeah.
right now. That's I'm gonna keep that one in mind. Yeah, because I did go with the over 4.5, but you're right. Really, really, it's a bet on MVG. Why am I betting minus 110 on the over 4.5 instead of the minus 2.5 on MVG there?
Yeah, if you can
So
get that like towards a similar number, I think it's probably that might be a slightly better bet
yeah.
um, on that.
This one when I did,
This I think Russ is Michael Smith, and this is basically even.
yeah, when I did kind of run the 180 model that I had, this one was the one that out of all the matches, I had the largest difference between the match 180s and what I was predicting. And so this one wasn't over by maybe about a half a 180 from what I had. So
On the Rob Cross, or
sorry, no, that was on the MVG Peter Wright. The actually the
oh,
Rob
okay, okay,
Cross.
okay, okay.
Sorry, yeah, I had a I was still hanging on to that in my mind.
No, no, no,
Uh,
that's fine. I actually think, yeah, and you're right. I kind of, it also completely leg dependent too. If he blows him out 6-1, don't be surprised
yeah,
if one of those. Then again, if he blows him out 6-1, odds are MVG's probably hit 3 180s anyways.
yeah. I do have a strong feeling on that Rob Cross match when we finally do make it over there now. So
Yeah, yeah. Now that we've made it over to Rob Cross, yeah, right. It's kind of an interesting match because they're pretty much even. You'll see a slight juice on Michael Smith being maybe minus 120, minus 125 or something like that. For
yeah.
all intents and purposes, they're basically even. I don't know. What were your leanings on that?
Yeah, so I like the Rob Cross money line, like you mentioned, it's about plus 100, plus 105, depending on where you're looking. I think this is an even match, and so I'll take uh, the better juice. And generally, Rob Cross has been playing. Michael Smith's been playing well, but I think Rob Cross has been a bit more consistent still over the last few months. So I'm gonna ride with that consistency and hope it pays off in this match. I do
Yeah,
like, yeah.
I mean, I might be actually taking over 9.5. And my thing is that my concern is Michael Smith's
Mm,
actually been really good in the Premier League. He won the first night. He did
yeah,
well the second night. Like I don't. He's been playing pretty well recently, and Rob Cross is really consistent. Like we all know what we're getting out of him. It wouldn't shock me if this goes 6-4 or 6-5 even.
yeah. I can definitely see
So
that for this match.
unless one just starts, not hitting their doubles, I mean, which could always happen.
Yeah,
But I actually think that a half minus 110 or minus 115 is actually probably a little bit safer play, in my opinion.
sure. I do like the under on the 180s in this one. That's one thing Rob Cross has not been doing is hitting his 180s either. And the 5.5 basically split evenly on the over under. I'll definitely be taking under 5.5 180s. Michael Smith, I mean, he started hammering them out last week, but I just think Rob Cross just hasn't been getting those maximums as much in the past few matches, in the past few times out. So
Yeah, I agree. And I looked at his individual 180s. They have it under 2.5 at minus 175. So everybody's really, if you like the over on the 180s, you might be better off looking at Michael Smith,
yes,
just individually to hit the 180s as opposed to relying on Rob
definitely.
Cross. I'm kind of with you there too. I kind of I do like the under on that. The interesting thing I find when you have people that are close is you start getting what feels like good odds if you take them at slight margins, like minus 1.5. So, for instance, like Rob Cross, if you like him, and you think he'll win by a break, like him minus 1.5 is plus 165. You're getting very good odds.
Ooh, yeah,
Tempting to think if you're going to win, a lot of times it's rare that a match goes to all 11 legs. It just usually when you're going to like right now, which I think is a close match and could very well hit 11 legs. Um, the fair odds on it's over plus 245, the unders minus 390 on DraftKings, but your fair odds bet is about 310. So they're looking at that happening less than 25% of
the time.
the time. So it means that probably one of these two guys are going to win by margin, by a margin of 2 legs or better. And so you might very well look at like if you're not liking that over 9.5 and you really want to take a side on this, I actually think you'll get better off odds taking either one of them at minus 1.5 legs.
Yeah, I like that. That's something I was doing previously and kind of haven't spent enough time looking at recently was those alt spreads and lines on the guys that I really like. And I do like that thought with Rob Cross minus 1.5 this week.
The other bet that really, I mean, this is a terrible prop bet, so I mean, I probably shouldn't be betting this, but Michael Smith bullseye finishes in the matches. For him to hit one in this match plus 400, like he seems to be leaving a ton of 130s recently.
Yeah.
Like he's purposely going down to 170, 130 as it costs a lot. So if he's going to that, he's going to have to hit a bullseye most likely. I mean, 130 he could hit double five, obviously, but I just like that as him to hit that more. It just feels like he's been going for it a lot more recently. So plus 400 is just yeah, don't put too much on it, but I think I might put one as a fun novelty prop bet for him to hit over on that.
Yeah. I was just checking my simulation on even match. How often is it going to go to 6-5 outcome? And I have it right at 25%. So basically what you said was what the odds are telling us. So
Yeah, that makes sense. So I mean, if you're liking the dog, and it's a close dog, I mean, it really is, I think, a coin flip between Rob Crops and Michael Smith. If you like the dog, especially dog with -1.5 odds, I think is one of the better value bets that don't get bet enough, because when they do win, it's often play decider. It just is just the way
yeah,
darts work. It's like if it's like flipping, you flip a coin 10 times, it rarely lands on 5-5 exactly. Like
yeah,
even though it's exactly it, a lot of times it's 6-4. So same principle when you have two evenly matched darts players. You probably are better off taking the odds and getting some good plus money on the underdog.
yeah. I definitely agree with that.
Which leads basketball over Luke Humphreys. So Luke Humphreys is obviously a big favorite in this, and I don't think he should be. With the way he's been not don't say he's playing bad, but he has that same feel of Michael Smith last year. He had that just has that like world championship hangover. He did so well for 4 months and so long, and it was just like such a weight off his shoulders. You could tell, and such a relief that it feels like he's just not pulling there yet. Not until he's what peak Humphreys is.
Yeah, he's definitely trending downward with his averages overall, but he also had such a high level of performance. It's hard to
He did
think that
have
he
yeah, exactly.
wasn't going to start coming down a little. But I'm in agreement with you here. I'm looking at Aspinall bets. I'll take the plus 2.5, but maybe looking at some additional alternates as well.
Yeah, the playoffs actually is to about 50, which is highish. I kind of like the money line around over at Caesars, it's 230, 210 over plus 210 over DraftKings. Nathan Aspinall has been playing very well. It would not shock
Yes.
me for him to beat Luke Humphreys just outright, let alone cover on it. And is even a bigger dog back. You can get him at -1 at Caesars. You can get him as -1.5 plus 350,
Ooh, yeah, that's pretty nice.
which is matched by margin, but more than the requisite like 23% of the time or whatever plus 350 is. I just think he's been playing well recently. Luke has not been as great as Luke has been in the last few months. I'm not saying he's vulnerable by any stretch. I just think Aspinall beats him more often than 1 out of 3 times right now.
Yeah, yeah,
And then you'll be 6.5 under -160. I kind of I haven't liked Luke Humphreys 180s have not been nearly as much for the most part as they have been previously. They've dropped about 10%, I think, over the last like month compared to what it was. So understand why I might be taking Luke Humphreys under 3.5 180s -135. I wouldn't say a long shot, but it just doesn't feel like his 180s have been quite there. Whereas actually Nathan Aspinall's have been there. And I might be taking him over 2.5 minus 115.
Yeah, I kind of like that. My lean was towards the under on the 5.5. I have it modeling out pretty close to that 5.5 number. So getting plus 120 juice on the under seems like a little bit of a deal. So, but I do agree with you. It tends.
Yeah, and a half.
Yeah, I'm nervous about Aspinall hitting too many, and I am thinking Humphreys likely will go under that 3.5 number.
Yeah, I mean, if your model makes sense. I mean, it was minus. It's funny on Caesars it was minus 1.5 or 5.5 under to plus 120 and over to minus 150. And the only thing that worries me is might be well. It wouldn't shock me if he hit a few. That would be the only thing that worried me about this. I definitely, if anything, I might be taking Humphreys under Aspinall over. The draw could be an interesting bet at plus 450 if you think they're going to get three each. That
Uh,
could very well happen as well. It wouldn't shock me if you ended up in a draw or Aspinall to actually out 180 Humphreys the way he's been throwing them, which probably doesn't bode well
yeah, no, exactly.
for you. I but yeah, the other interesting thing too, if you like Asp to cover 2.5, um, the 2.5's minus 175, but if the over 9.5's plus 110,
Mm,
you might be better off betting the over here
mm.
on that. If you like Asp at such a high juice, like if you the only problem is he could beat Humphrey 6-3. I could see him
Yeah, I think that's still on the table. Unlike
beating
when we were,
Humphrey, especially if Aspinall throws first it breaks. Like
yeah,
it could go 6-3.
yeah, yeah, I don't have the same confidence that we were talking about with the MVG Peter Wright match, where there's no way Peter Wright's beating MVG,
Agreed.
6-2, 6-1. But this one, yeah, I could see it going that way. I don't think it's not a non-zero chance, that's for sure.
Yeah, exactly. Um, Final match of the night. Gerwin Price, Luke Littler. Right now the number is minus 170 for Littler, plus 130 on Gerwin Price, depending where you look. It's probably around there. I have a real hard time betting against Luke Littler at the moment. I don't know about you,
Oh, me
but
too.
I, I
Yeah,
actually I actually prefer his minus 1.5 at plus 100 on this. So I'm actually taking some of that.
that's
Also, I
what
don't
I did
know.
as well. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if you heard, but today we're uh Gerwin Price pulled out of the Players Championship today.
Oh yeah.
Basically stormed off and got pissed off because it was too cold in there.
I know.
And he was down 4-2 and not playing well, I think to Brendan Dolan, and just got pissed off and left.
Yeah, I didn't like
Like
that, and so I'm taking that bad karma from that, and I'm betting against against him for this. So
it's not just bad karma. He's had something, there's something going on at home. I don't want to speculate anything, but he did pull out of the Masters. Just not really issues at home, just want to spend more time with family. So it almost feels in a weird way like there's something going on behind the scenes that nobody really knows about. And
yeah,
this seems to be the type of thing that like a weird outburst for someone like him who's usually pretty calm. I mean, he gets excitable, but he's usually level-headed. Like
yeah,
this isn't really like him. So I
yeah,
wonder if something's going on too. And this is just kind of another reason for me to take Hitler minus the 1.5, especially at even money.
yeah. And this kind of thing makes me feel like it's something that's reserved for golfers complaining about the greens being too bumpy or fairways too many sand divots in the fairways. So it's kind of surprising to hear him use some of these excuses as reasons for why he's, yeah, not playing well or pulling out of the tournament. But we'll see. We'll see how it affects him. I'm definitely
Yeah,
going
so
Littler here,
I
and
wonder. Yeah, this makes me really want to go against it. Or I might even take It's tempting to take Littler. Like this is the kind you wonder if this is the kind of match where maybe if he's
Six
getting
two,
pissed losing to
six.
Brendan
Yeah,
Dolan, does this become a 6-2 type of match
yeah.
where Littler -3.5 is +340?
Ooh,
Like
I know that's kind of fun, and I could definitely see
if there's
something like that.
because he's I might take like I wouldn't put a full unit on or anything, but this might
Yeah,
be a
a
throw a
nice
little bit of
flyer.
money. I'll take a flyer on Littler -3.5 and a +340. Like that's a massive odds, but this seems like the type of situation where that might hit.
Yeah,
Actually,
I like that. I'm definitely going to be looking at that here in a second. So
so as we
we'll
wrap up, who do you prop on this or not? I it was 6.5. I kind of lean towards the under on it, especially if I think it's not going to go as many legs um, as it should. If we think it's going to be something on a Littler 6-4, 6 or even 6-3 or worse on that. I don't know if you modeled that out or not.
yeah, I'm checking that one. So that one actually I didn't bet that one because I also had that one getting close to 6.5, and it was pretty even on the over under. So that was a no bet for me. But
Yeah,
like we
yeah,
mentioned,
it makes
it's
sense.
not
There's not a lot of
factoring
value.
in some of that Gerwin Price feeling of what we're not sure if his mind's fully in it right now, and that yeah, I wouldn't mind an under there actually, just because of the number of legs may not be significant.
Yeah, I mean, darts is a mental game, and if your head's not in it, you can start rattled by the crowd or something going on at
Yeah,
home. There, it can definitely. Honestly, it kind of happened with Johnny Clayton last year. You could tell he was affected. I think his father passed, and you could tell like something. He just his darts just weren't great last year, certainly
yeah,
compared to the year before. So, no dart player is immune to kind of be mentally off
yeah.
a little bit on this.
Even if something's going on, he's just not practicing as much. That can be enough to start sending you in the wrong direction.
Yeah, exactly. So, as we wind down, any final thoughts? Who do you think's winning this week? Now the draw has been reshuffled again.
I I gotta feel like Littler is gonna take this one. So he's been to two finals but hasn't pulled it off. He still played pretty decent in the Players Championship
He won
this week. Yeah. So
the first one, like in his first, yeah, which is a craziness. Like he wins his
yeah.
first ever Players Championship, which um, I think only two other people had done it, won their first Players Championship,
Had a nine
and
darter as well. So I mean
I know, crazy.
it's hard not to think he's gonna take this one home. So I'll probably be putting a little on him to win this week before things get started.
Yeah, I think that's. It almost feels like a Littler MVG rematch again. Like they're
Yes,
going to have to
yeah,
start stumbling for me to prove otherwise. I mean, MVG's got basically a first round bye against Peter Wright, going against Rob Cross
yeah,
and Michael Smith, and so
exactly.
I mean, I speaking of the Players Championship, we beat Ryan Searle 8-7. I don't know if you watched all of it or not. Ryan Searle had a 111.7 average and lost,
Oh
which is
my
just
gosh,
that's just
that's
sickening to
brutal.
lose
Yeah,
when you're having that. Yeah, that's crazy. I mean, it's not like it wasn't, I mean, he threw 109 and a half, so it's not like he wasn't playing out of his mind either. But, it's when you're playing like that and just to lose, it's just, you kind of throw your hands up. Like, what are you supposed
yeah,
to do
that's
at this point? But
demoralizing.
yeah,
But
but the way Ryan Searle's playing, actually, look for him in upcoming tournaments. I think, whenever the next European tour tournament is too, Ryan Searle's at, look at him maybe making a run at this
yeah, we got to keep him in mind. I feel like he hadn't
because
been.
he's playing well.
Yeah, definitely will be keeping him in mind and have a look at him in the next big tournament.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, until next time, I'm Justin Wagler. This is Jonathan Sokol, and we'll see you guys on the dartboard. Take care, everybody.
All right. Bye bye.